Hey, Shalom Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham to all the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Ilatah Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And this is the Wednesday law class. I am priest and officer of 50, Iraq. And today, Salakia. And today, we're going to pick up from where we left off last Tuesday. Last 2 weeks, we've been reading the first two chapters of the book of Second Esdras, and we're going to continue on chapter 3, and then Lord allow also hit chapter 4 as well. You understand? But before we get into it, just like every week that we ask in every class, we ask that y'all do y'all part. Make sure that you like and share the class. Hey, Shalom Yahweh Barakatah, Officer Shabal, that's our camp leader right there. Mighty man. Just like every class, that we ask for y'all to make sure that you like and share our these videos, and not just our videos being, ISUPK in Las Vegas, or a video that I teach. Anything that has ISUPK on it, you should be liking and sharing it. Reason being, there's nowhere else that you can get, this truth. You understand? Except for in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. You understand? Just give me a few minutes and to do that myself. Moments. So like, it ain't gonna take me no minutes. But let me do that real quick, and then we'll get into it. So like, yeah. And mind you as well, if there's anybody that's online that has any questions, feel free to type it in online. Actually, said, feel free to type it in online, and Lord allow, if I'm able to answer it myself, I will scripturally. If I'm unable to answer it myself scripturally, then I'll save it for either tomorrow's scripture breakdown class and ask it again in that class so that you can get your answer, or I'll just have it for you when I teach my class again on Tuesday, because I'll have to go to a mightier man than myself to get you the answer. You understand? Because we are not the Christian church. We are not the Catholics. We're not like the Muslims. We're not like any of these other people who want to pretend like, they know what they're talking about, or if they were to just say something that makes you feel good, that's what the answer is. You understand? We're not like them. We're not like any of these Christians. You understand? We don't lean on our own understanding. And all things that we say and teach, we set ourselves up to be able to prove them. You understand? Everything that we say and teach is able to be proven historically and scripturally. You understand? Not one or the other, is both. You understand? All right. So we're going to start, as I said, we're going to pick up at the book of Second Esdras, at chapter 3. The Lord allowed, as I said, we're going to get into, we're going to go up to chapter 4. Reason being that we're going into these scriptures is because Esdras had a lot of love for his people. And I think this second book of Esdras is just heavy. You understand? And I think it's important to read it through from the very first chapter on through to understand the context of how everything's set up. Because, in the first chapter, it starts off with, setting the tone that Esdras was in. It was at the time that, Israel was in captivity again, and the Most High chose Esdras to be the one to be the Most High's mouth and speak to the children of Israel, to speak to his people. You understand? And let them know, hey, y'all have forgotten the God of your forefathers. You understand? He was that one. And then not only that, but he already had that love for his people in the first place. You understand? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. This is the second book of Ezra, chapter 3, verse 1. In the 13th year after the ruin of the city, I was in Babylon and lay troubled upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Sion and the wealth of them that dwelt at Babylon, and my heart was like it, and my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, now mind you, who's speaking right now is Ezra. You understand? And Ezra just said that, he's about to speak to the Most High. Verse 4, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul. Now I want to stop right there just real quick. You understand? Because Ezra is making it known that he's aware of what the creation story was. You understand? And the only way that he knows about the biblical creation story is the fact that the documents from the time of Moses made it up to Ezra. You understand? So in other words, the Torah, Ezra was able to read the Torah, and he did just that. You understand? But mind you as well, what he just said in the first line, Salakia, the very first line of verse 5, where it says, and gave us a body unto Adam without soul. Man, now if you Christian, you understand, you would think that what? So the Most High God would, essentially just made a zombie Adam before he became an actual living soul, before his heart started beating and this, that, and the other. No, you understand? Just to kind of explain that real quick is the simple fact that Adam was already a living being, but the Most High God made him a living soul. You understand? And what makes somebody a living soul is by them receiving the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? I mean, we'll do a breakdown on that, on what a living soul is according to the scriptures, where you will go back and forth between Ezekiel chapter 37 and also the book of Genesis. And then obviously, this is a precept in itself for those of y'all that are, new to the class or whatnot, need to take your notes. This is one of your precepts to show that Adam was a living creature before he got the law, statutes, and commandments to make him a living soul. He was already alive before then. You understand? All right, moving on. Which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. Again, that breath of life is the law, statutes, and commandments. You're not really alive without the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And you can find that breakdown in the book of Ezekiel chapter 37. All right. Verse 6, and thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. Verse 7, and unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointed this death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. You understand? So right here already it's talking about how the Most High God gave Adam that breath of life. And hey, Shalani, how about you, young man John? It's good to see you in the class. Right? So it's going over how the Most High God had given a breath of life to Adam, right? And then also put him in his own land of paradise. That Garden in Eden, you understand? And which the Most High had made for him, right? And Adam ended up transgressing the Most High God The question is how, right? And just so that we can move on and whatnot, the way that Adam had transgressed the Most High God is, you know, he decided to listen to Eve and go and partake on that tree of life. And again, this is a breakdown in itself as well. That tree of life is not, it went like the tree of good and evil. Forgive me. He partook on the tree of good and evil. You understand? It's not a fruit. You understand? Nowhere in the Bible does it say that Adam and Eve bit an apple that some talking snake told them to eat. You understand? What that tree of good and evil is, basically the customs of the other nations. You understand? We weren't supposed to know what life was like by living somebody else's customs. You understand? We were supposed to only live our customs. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what that tree of life was. And that's what Adam and Eve went and partook on, was living another nation's way of life. You understand? Where they eating bats like these nasty ass Moabites and Ammonites. You understand? Probably weren't showering like them Elamites and them Hamites. You understand? Driving around smelling like them little Middle Easterns and Africans and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And eating whatever the hell they want, having, just doing things that went against the Most High God. You understand what I'm saying? And in the midst of that, right, death came upon not only Adam, but all the generations and also people that came forth after. You understand? Because everybody comes from Adam, simply and only because of the fact that the Most High God had flooded the earth, right? And when the Most High God had flooded the earth, there was only one family who lived, and that was Noah and his son and his 3 sons, right? So there was only 8 people who survived that flood, and out of those 8 people came forth, basically us. We fast forward thousands of years ahead, like 2,000-3,000 years ahead, and this is where we're at. You understand? We all come from Noah, and only because of that, we all are descendants of Adam. You understand? But that in itself is a breakdown in itself. We're gonna move on. Verse 8. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. You understand? Just like what I just said, what I was just talking about with verse 7. I kind of got a little ahead of myself, slightly, but verse 8 just says that that at that time they was doing what they want, the customs of the other nations, because that's what the other nations do, is they do what they want, they eat what they want, they sleep with who they want, they have no moral compass. You understand? This is also why the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans need to be the leaders on this earth. You understand? Which will come to pass as well. You understand? This is exactly why the ISUPK under Commander Yohana will be the rulers of the earth. Now, when we become the rulers of the earth, it won't be under Commander Yohana. It'll be under Yahushua Mashiach, our King, Jesus Christ. But, you understand, at the moment, we under Commander Yohana. And we are going to be the leaders of the earth, because we're the only ones who actually read and understand these scriptures. But most importantly, as well, is that we actually follow and live these scriptures. You understand? We follow and live these laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And with that, in the kingdom, everybody's going to be living under our command, under our power. You understand? Verse 9. And again, in process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyest them. And it came to pass in every of them, that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Verse 11. Nevertheless, verse 11. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Man, so it's like the Most High basically trying to restart the earth. You know, Ezra is basically saying that what he had read from the Torah, right, that that the Most High went to restart the earth by flooding it. So like the Most High flooded the earth to restart it, right? And so that that way a righteous seed, a righteous man can, basically restart the earth with righteousness. And it basically fell out because the children that came afterwards was even more ungodly than the people on earth beforehand. You understand? Verse 13. Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Verse 14. Whom thou lovest, and unto him only thou showedest thy will. So like it. And madest, verse 15, and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. Verse 16, and unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. Now I'm going to read that one more time, right? Because mind you as well, a lot of people, Christians, love to talk about how God is for everybody. God loves everybody, right? But I'm going to read it again, and it's going to show you that the Most High chooses a seed. He chooses his favorites. He chooses who he even deals with amongst all the people. And mind you as well, we read it basically twice just now, actually thrice. You understand? First time was with Noah. The second time, if we go up to verse 13. Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them. So now, mind you, after Noah and basically his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, after them three basically repopulated the earth with each of their wives and then their children and their children and their children, right? As those children repopulated the earth, there came a time where there was a great number on the earth again, and the Most High chose Abraham out of everybody. You understand? So far, actually, that's actually 4 times, because the Most High chose Adam. But mind you, that's a breakdown in itself. So, but moving forward, so we got Adam, we've got Noah, we've got Abraham, right? And then what we just read. And unto verse 16, and unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. Now, mind you as well, for those of y'all that ain't too hip, Jacob and Esau, they come into play in Genesis chapter 25, right? They're twin brothers. Out of those twin brothers, out of them two brothers that shared the womb, the Most High God chose a seed. He chose a people. He favored a people. You understand what I'm saying? And so Jacob became a great multitude. Man, understand this, y'all. We are still a great multitude today. Jacob still is a great multitude today. A big reason why our numbers you can't see the numbers being as big as they should be, is because the lack of brotherhood and sisterhood that we have. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, damn, Officer Rock, what you mean by that? Well, let me tell you. You understand? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, of course, we out there, selling drugs and doing drugs, but we selling drugs to our own people. You understand? We killing our own people with drugs. This stupid gang violence over a damn street corner that's named after a white man. You understand? Over a stupid color. You understand what I'm saying? But even bigger than that, because the number one killer of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is abortion. You understand? We out there aborting our children. Man, if we would start aborting our children, you would actually be able to physically see how great of a multitude our people are. You understand? Because that's what we're supposed to be, is a great multitude of people. But mind you, that's what the Most High promised Abraham, that his seed I believe, what did he say? It would be numbered like the stars. You understand? And throughout scriptures, it talks about how that there is a number of people, the number of multitude is like trying to count sand. You understand? It's like the multitude of counting sand. There's so many you can't even count. That's how many of us there are. You understand? Hey, Shalom, Trooper Halat. It's good to see you. All right, we're going to move on. Verse 17. And it came to pass that when thou leddest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to Mount Sinai. Now, who did he bring out? Everybody knows the story of the Israelites, right? And Moses and the Israelites being delivered out of Egypt. Again, already it's showing you that God continuously chooses. You understand? He continuously chooses his select people that he wants to deal with. Now, why do I keep bringing that out? You might be thinking, right? Well, the reason for it is, like what the title says, that brotherhood is a part of the law. You understand? We need to choose our people the way that the Most High chooses our people. You understand? The Most High God isn't delivering white people. He's not delivering the colonizers. You understand? He's not delivering them funky ass Africans, them funky ass Middle Easterns, them funky ass East Indians, them funky ass Chinese and Japanese and Korean and Vietnamese. He's not delivering none of them. You understand? The only people that he is going to deliver and give salvation to, that he's even dealing with in the first place, is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, or according to the Bible, the Israelites. You understand? Because mind you as well, what does a Chinese man need to be delivered from? They damn near a superpower. They are a people of a superpower of with it's like they are a people with the superpower to contend with America and in the European countries. You understand? I mean, the Africans, if you actually do your research and whatnot, they damn near, they really oppress themselves. You understand? By doing stupid deals with everybody. But mind you as well, man, that's just the Most High God dealing with their ass. Because mind you, who did they do business with to sell people to? Or who did they sell to do business with God's chosen people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that were there in West Africa? So for what's being done to them Africans right now, I mean, it's not my problem, man. They brought that up. They brought that upon themselves, and the Most High is just dealing with them. You understand? What do people in the world like to say? That's karma. What comes around goes around. You understand? That's just the Most High God dealing with their ass for what they did to his people. You understand? But yet still, the Most High God is going to deliver them from himself, because the Most High God is the one that's dealing with the Africans. You understand? The East Indians, the Chinese, Japanese, all of these other people that all collectively have joined together and made a confederate against the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. What do they need to be delivered from? What does the so-called white man need to be delivered from? But yet, we choose them over ourselves. We choose to align ourselves with the people who want to keep their foot on our necks, to keep us in the position that we are in today. over choosing our own so that we can stand up together. You understand? I pray y'all understand. All right, where was we at? So lucky. Oh, but yeah, so that's why I keep bringing that up. How the Most High God, time and time and time again, chose someone in specific over others. Now, quite frankly, if you come from the seed, if your father and his father's father, so on and so forth, if you come from the seed of a so-called Negro, Hispanic, or Native American, the Most High God chose you and your seed. You need to do the same. Christ, Yahweh Shai Mashiach in the Hebrew, or Jesus Christ in the English, did the same exact thing. Who do you think the lost sheep of Israel is? You understand? And I'm just going to paraphrase it real quick, and then we're going to move on with, we're reading. But what did Christ say? That the number one most important commandment is that we love the Most High God with all our mind, body, and soul. But the second most important commandment is like unto the first, and that's just that we love our brothers and sisters like we love ourselves. Because if you love yourself, you'll love the Most High God. If you love yourself and the Most High God, you'll love your brothers and sisters. You'll love your people. You understand? All of it comes together. You understand what I'm saying? Choose your people. Just like the Most High God chose your goofy ass, whom of which he should have killed. You understand? Slacky. All right, now we're moving on. Verse 18. And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movedest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troubledest the men of that age. That's just talk about how the Most High God, moved the heavens, trembled the earth, you understand, split the sea, troubled the men of that age. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Verse 19. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, and thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them. Verse 21. For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed, and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the, so like I might butcher this word, with the malignity. I think it's malignity. Malignity. So like if I butcher the word. Moving on. Malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still. Verse 23. So times passed away, and the years were brought to an end. And didst thou raise thee up a servant called David, whom thou commandest to build a city unto thy name, and to offer incense and oblations. So like you, I haven't been practicing my hooked on phonics lately, so I haven't been, you understand, I'm having a hard time reading today. So Salaki, oblations unto thee therein. Verse 21, Salaki, verse 25. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee. Now I'm to wives, sis. The water. What was that? Verse 25. All right. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee. So, basically, Ezra began to fast forward past after Moses was, the time period and what the Most High God had done at the time period of Moses, right? Basically, he said, fast forward to the time uh, of David. When you rose up, David, this is what you did. Mind you, Ezra is going through, and what's the word I want to use? He is bigging up. You know what? I feel like that's a wrong choice of words. The Most High, or Ezra's is, we'll just say, just talking up, right? Because for the lack of a better term and or word, Ezra is talking up the Most High right now by giving recognition of the great things that he did, right? Because mind you as well, and we're gonna find out in this next chapter. I believe, yeah, in the next chapter, Ezra is gonna start asking questions of, he's gonna start asking some questions. I'm just gonna say that because we are going to get to it for sure. So he's bigging him up though. It's just like back then when you would go to a king, oh mighty, righteous, just king, da 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 da, hear what I have to say. Like that's basically how you should speak to the Most High when you pray to him as well. And that's what Ezra is doing. You understand? Ezra's another part of how Ezra is showing brotherhood right now is by showing us how he spoke to the Most High. Because mind you, as well, an angel was sent to him, right, to give him some answers and to show him some things. And what is part of that equation is that he spoke to the Most High humbly and made himself meek and talked up the Most High God. You understand what I'm saying? So if y'all haven't put two and two together yet, so far what we've been reading, what Ezra is doing is highlighting the great thing, highlighting a lot of the things that the Most High has done, right? But of course, as well with purpose. You understand? Which we will find out what the purpose is, because like I said, we're gonna get into his questions as well, right? Verse 25, when this was done many years and they had inhabited the city, forsook thee. Understand? When King David built up his city over time, even though they wouldn't even have that city in the first place, we wouldn't have had that city in the first place if it wasn't even for the Most High God. But yet, just like time and time again, the Israelites, because we are stiff-necked people, we forgot who gave us this, that who made that city even possible. You understand? Verse 26. And in all things that even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. And so thou gavest thy city over into the hands of thine enemies. So there's a reason why Ezra keeps referring back to, he'll move forward, he'll move right on the timeline to talk about how the Most High basically would deliver us, put us in a situation, get us out of a situation, delivered us from Egypt, gave us that great city under David, and then we would become wicked again. And then would say, just like, with Adam, because Adam was given something great, right? And basically just shit him. You understand? Mind you, like Adam was, damn near directly communing with, with the Most High and the angels, and still allowed, and still followed after his goofy ass wife who caused him to sin. But at the end of the day, if he was a strong man, he would have never have sinned in the first place. You understand? We're allowing the Israelites continuously, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, continuously allow these other nations to make us sin. It's our choice to follow after Catholicism. It's our choice to follow after Christianity. It's our choice to follow after Hinduism, Muslim, all these other goofy ass, religions and whatnot, these goofy ass ways of life. You understand? Those options are put on the table by the other nations. Sure, they're there to tempt us, so to speak. But it's still up to you to even, take the bait in the first place. But to take it even a step further, because normally I do teach the Tuesday Brotherhood class, that I'm teaching, Wednesday law class, but you know what? Brotherhood is every single class. You understand? Because mind you as well, that's the second greatest commandment, is having brotherhood, having sisterhood. You understand what I'm saying? So just like I lost my place for a second. So understanding, damn, so like it that I'm embarrassed. That slipped my mind. I forgot where I was going with it, just like that. So like it, y'all. Damn, I forgot where I was going with that. All right, so like it, we'll just move forward. So like if it comes back to my mind, I'll finish that thought. But that I did kind of space out on that. So like it. Verse 26. And in all things did even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. Man, just like Adam, we keep on being given great things. Great things are done for us, but yet we forsake the Most High God. And that was basically what I was going to say. You understand? We forsake him. We forget about who gave us these things, who made these things even possible in the first place. You understand? Verse 27. And so thou gavest thy city over into the hands of thy enemies. Like, all right, Most High is basically, you know what? You don't want to take this. I'm going to allow these greater nations, these nations that are greater than you, I'm going to allow them to take it over. You understand? And that's basically what the case has been. As long as we follow the Most High God fights for us, makes it possible for us to overthrow them and kill all the other nations, destroy all the other nations that are greater than us, right? But if we're not listening to the Most High God, then he allows them to take us over. And mind you as well, to even take us as a spoil. You understand? Verse 28. Are their deeds then any better that inhabit Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Sion? Now, mind you, like I was just saying, Esdras was sitting there, he was big up in the Most High, bringing up what the Most High had done. But then now Esdras he's actually inquiring. Like, you did all of these things for Israel, but yet, and so are their deeds then any better that inhabit Babylon? So the people that inhabit Babylon, these wicked people, are they better than that they should therefore have the dominion over Sion, that they should be over the Israelites, that they should be over blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that they should have the dominion over us and our land? Right? That's what Sion Salahi. That's what Esdras is asking right now. Verse 29. For when I came thither, and had seen impieties without number, then my soul saw many evil doers in this 30th year, so that my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thine enemies, and has not signified it. You understand? So Esdras is saying that, over time he was watching everybody and had seen, how our own people, how the Most High basically suffered our own people who the Most High had delivered time and time and time and time again from all the captivities, all the bad situations, all the bad placements in history. We were delivered out of that, but yet Ezra was able to witness for his own eyes what the Most High, even suffers in the first place. Like, man, it's like how can you forget what the hell the Most High God had done for you and your forefathers, and you over here being a homosexual? You over here worshiping other gods? You over here doing drugs? You killing your own brothers and sisters? You're aborting your children. You want stripper poles, being prostitutes. The list goes on and on. You understand? Ezra saw that, right? And okay, verse 31. I do not remember how this way may be left, and they then of Babylon better than they of Sion. Oh, it's like, are they then of Babylon better than they of Sion? So mind you, Ezra saw it on both sides, but he also, what he was mostly talking about is how he had seen the things that they was doing in Babylon, right? And he's like, so wait, are they better? Are they better than us? Right? Verse 32, or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel? Or what generation hath so believed thy covenants as Jacob? See, Ezra is asking, like, man, who else has the law? Because as far as I know, only we have the law. Only the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have the law. The Israelites have the law. You understand? The law was shown to Jacob and wasn't shown to anybody else on the face of the earth. So, and that's what we read. That's what we know, right? That's what is that? Psalms 147, chapter 19. The book of Psalms, chapter 147, verses 19 to 20. You understand? Just paraphrasing it. Ezra is asking, was like, did anybody else get this? You understand? Verse 33, and yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. It's like, okay, so, they're prospering without following, your commandments. So obviously not, right? Verse 34, weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and theirs also that dwell in the world. And so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Man, the Most High, Ezra's is saying, man, if you weigh everybody, right, but us on one side and them on the other side, you're not going to know your name but on our side, right? Verse 35, or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments? Thou shalt find that Israel by name hath kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. So basically right there, Ezra is like pleading with the Most High. Like, man, even though we messing up, we slip, like we trying, but yet in the midst of it though, while they're over there, we're over here struggling. You understand? We're at least, how do I put it? While the heathens are over there doing their thing, right? That's basically tempting our people out of the righteousness, right? Because they're over there getting wealthy, just like basically what the Christians say, right? That, if they got money, they must be blessed. God is good to them. God deals with them, listens to their prayer, this, that, and the other, right? They judge how the Most High God deals with them in their life based off of their money. Mind you as well, majority of that money is stolen, right? Because damn well the Most High ain't dealing with no doggone pedophiles, let alone a thief, let alone a homosexual. You understand what I'm saying? But that's how they judge it. You think it was any different then? That was part of the reason why it made it so hard to keep so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on track and staying righteous. You understand? Because mind you, when it's our time to rule, we will, we'll be stunting bigger than all of them. You understand? Like, I'm not going to front. I'll keep it a buck. The ones that I think stunt the hardest And I be slick, watching little videos on Instagram and whatnot, because they be funny as hell. But how them Arabs, man, how they be stunting. You over there, goofy asses be running around in some man dresses. But man, they be having like buku. They have buku animals. They be wrestling with they pet bears and jaguars and lions and all this. I'm just like, man, what the hell? You understand? Plus, their houses be decked out in gold and just beautiful, rare stones and whatnot. Like, they stunt. I give it, but they got the money to do it though. Just imagine if Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans had the money, the position of power to be able to stunt. Because nobody stunts harder than us. It's just in this world that we live in this kingdom, in Esau's kingdom that we live in today, the ones that stunt the hardest, it sure as hell ain't, Mr. Dweeby ass, Tanner. I mean, them Edomites, they don't know how to stunt. They barely even know how to put on their pants right. But them Arabs, they stunt. I give it to them. But they able to do it, right? And while in the midst of them doing it, because that's also what we do. You understand? We are the salt of the earth, first of all. But we set that standard. You let one Black, Hispanic, or Native American have the funds to be able to stunt with some, all sorts of rare gems, animals, all, the whole shebang, like an Arab does. Be Arab rich. Man, they all, and mind you, because he is the salt of the earth, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the salt of the earth, he gonna stunt in his own ways, in his own way. And guess what them Arabs gonna do? Like, oh, he got money like us, and he getting down like, all right, now this is the new way to stunt. This is the new way to, show off that I got money and whatnot. Best believe. And it will happen in the kingdom. Watch. You understand? But that's basically what's going on is only the Israelites have followed the precepts of the Most High God. You understand? Only we have gone through the trials that we have. You understand? And they haven't, but yet you're allowing them to have all these things, right? All right. So we done with that chapter. Now we're going into chapter 4. And the angel that was sent unto me, whose name was Uriel, gave me an answer. So the Most High sent an angel to answer, Esdras. Verse 2, and said, thy heart hath gone too far in this world, and thinkest thou to comprehend the way of the Most High? So the angel is, coming up to him just off the rip, like, your head a little bit too far. You're thinking a little bit too hard about this. So you think that you can comprehend, the ways of the Most High, the way that he thinks, the way that he does things. You think you able to comprehend that? You think that you can question these things, question the Most High, right? Verse 3, then said I, yeah, my Lord. And he answered me and said, I am sent to show thee 3 ways, and to set forth 3 similitudes before thee. So the angel, Ezra said, yeah, I do, right? And so the angel is saying, all right, fine. I am sent to show you 3 things, right? Verse 4, whereof if thou canst declare me one, if he can tell him one of the 3, right? I will show thee also the way that thou desirest to see, and I shall show thee from whence the wicked heart cometh. So he said he will show him from where the wicked heart comes from, and also answer his question. So you tell me one of these 3 things, I'll give you what you want, plus a bonus, right? Verse 5, and I said, tell on, my Lord. Then said he unto me, go thy way, weigh me the weight of the fire, or measure me the blast of the wind, or call me again the day that is past. Man, that angel Uriel just said, listen, If you want to understand these things, call me in the day that is past, or give me the weight of a fire, or what does it say? Measure the wind, or measure me the blast of the wind. Man, like that's the weight of a fire. I think that would probably be the easiest one, if not the blast of a wind. But where the hell do you even begin? How the hell do you even do that? Right? But mind you, as well, this is talking, you want to understand the way of the Most High God. Like, you got to be able to do something like this, something simple like this, to even understand something as grand as the way that he designed something, that he the way that the Most High even thinks in the first place. Right? Verse 6, then answered I and said, what man is able to do that thou shouldest ask such things of me? And it just said, like, who can even do that? What man can even do that? He didn't say who, because obviously, the angel will probably be able to do it. The Most High God will probably be able to do it. Oh, of course he's able to do it. But, you understand? Ezra said, what man can even do that you asking me to do? Verse 7, and he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament, or which are the outgoings of paradise. Verse 8, peradventure thou wouldest say unto me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into hell, neither did I ever climb up into the heavens. So, the angel was saying, like, okay, if I would have made it a little bit easier, like if I were to ask you about, the pits of the earth, from where the streams come up, right? All the water comes up, or even how many springs there are up in the heavens past the firmament, right? Or what was the third one? Oh, I keep forgetting the third one. How great dwellings are. Ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea. Oh, so the great dwellings that are in the midst of the sea. You understand? You basically just gonna say that you've never been there. You've never been in these places, in the dwellings of the midst of the sea, above the firmament. You don't know anything about the springs, heaven, hell. You couldn't answer that either, right? Verse 9, nevertheless, now have I asked thee, but only of the wind and fire, and of the day wherethrough thou hast passed, and of things from which thou canst not be separated, and yet canst thou give me no answer of them. So he's basically saying the things that you actually deal with every day, right? You deal with fire, things that are part of your life, almost on a daily basis, that you almost can't even separate from. You can separate from the sea. We are separated from the firmament. We are separated from, basically the heavens and the hell and in the great sea, right? We're separated from them three things, but we require fire to stay warm, to, cook our food, right? To light the way, right? The wind comes and goes, but whether it's a very light breeze or what have you, it's still there, right? What was the other one? Fire, wind, and of the day through. And of course, you can't be separated by the day because you in every single day. You understand? But yet you can't even tell me about these things. You understand? Basically, you just know the very base function of all three of them things. But yet you want to know something higher, something greater, right? Verse 10, he said, moreover unto me, thine own things and such as are grown up with thee, canst thou know not. Again, these are things that you grew up with, and still you don't know nothing about. Verse 11,
How should thy vessel then be able to comprehend the way of the highest? And the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight. So the sight being, because Uriel, the angel, like he's an archangel, first of all, but he's able to see in. Wait, right? I believe he's an archangel. Right here it says that he's just an angel, so I'm just gonna call him, he's just an angel. But Uriel, he's able to see the evil from within, basically, is pretty much what he's saying, right? But he said, how should thy vessel then be able to comprehend the way of the highest, and the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight? So it's like, how can you even understand the outside? You can't even understand the outside, but you want to understand what I can see, what we can see. You understand what the higher powers can see, right? Verse 12. Then said I unto him, it were better that we were not at all, than that we should live still in wickedness and to suffer, and not to know wherefore. He answered me and said, I went into a forest, into a plain, and the trees took counsel. And he said, said, come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may depart away before us, and that we may make us more woods. So Uriel is saying how, basically these trees were like, hey, they had counsel amongst themselves. They decided amongst themselves, let's go and make war against the sea and make bigger forests, right? It's like, what was that? May depart before us, and that we may make us more woods. Verse 15, the floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel and said, come, let us go up and subdue the woods of the plain, that there also we may make us another country. So now the sea is saying the same thing, except to push up on the woods, right? To make another, a bigger sea, more sea, right? Man, I keep losing my doggone place. What is? No, wait, that's fine. So, like it. Man, the words on the apocalypse look kind of small, man. I be losing my place sometimes. So, like it. Verse 16. The thought of the wood was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. So it's like, man, the woods was sitting there thinking about something that, they don't need to be worried about, because a fire came and consumed it. Right? You talking about making war with the sea, but yet you got fire on its way that you got to deal with, that's going to destroy you, which it did. Verse 17, the thought of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught, for the sand stood up and stopped them. So it's like, and the sand wouldn't even allow the sea to be able to push forward and consume them woods to make another country, right? Verse 18. If thou wert judged now betwixt these two, whom wouldest thou begin to justify, or whom wouldest thou condemn? Now I see we got a couple of people online. Who would y'all justify between? Who would you fight to justify, and who would you fight to condemn between the forest and the sea trying to expand itself? Write your answer on the comments and see if who you would choose between the two to justify, and who you would condemn between the sea and the forest. And don't cheat and read ahead. I'll give y'all just a few minutes. All right, don't look like anybody's gonna respond. Has responded yet? Ain't no sweat though. All right, ain't no thing. We'll read on, and you get the answer that Ezra gives. Verse 19, and I answered and said, verily, it is a foolish thought that they both have devised. For the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea also hath his place to bear his floods. Verse 20, then answered he me and said, thou hast given a right judgment, but why judgest thou not thyself also? So Uriel, the angel Uriel, was basically trying to put that into perspective. Like, man, how is it that you able to judge the woods and judge the sea based off of how they had, from what they wanted to do, and you're able to make a right judgment and say, your place, stay in it. That's basically what Ezra said. That his counsel on the matter, his judgment on the matter of both, is that they're both foolish because they should both know their place. And Uriel is just like, okay, so you judge right, but why don't you apply that to yourself? Why don't you know to stay in your own place, right? Verse 21, for like as the ground is given unto the wood and the sea to his floods, even so they that dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the earth. And he that dwelleth above the heavens may only understand the things that are above the height of the heavens. Then answered I and said, I beseech thee, O Lord, let me have understanding. For it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily, namely, wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given unto our ungodly nations, and why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught, and the written covenants come to none effect. So now, Ezra is basically clarifying what he was actually, what he was really inquiring, right? And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? Of these things have I asked. So, like I said, Ezra is just clarifying what he was really asking, right? Just like, we are in a reproach and an astonishment to these other nations. You understand? We're basically nothing on this earth. So it's, he's almost saying like what's almost the point to all of this, right? Verse 26, then answered he me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. For the world hasteth fast to pass away. Hasteth, like it. For the world hasteth fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. But as concerning the things whereof thou asketh me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet to come. You understand? So it's the angel Uriel is pretty much telling Ezra right here that there's a time and place for all of this, for everything to come forward and to basically understand. You understand? part of the understanding of certain things requires it to actually pass, or for it to actually happen, for it to come to happen, right? Verse 28. But as concerning the things whereof thou asketh me, I will tell thee. For the Salakia. I'll just read it again. I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. 29. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that it is sown with good. For the grain of evil seed hath grown sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. And how much ungodliness hath it brought up unto this time? And how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come? Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed have brought forth. And when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a floor shall they fill? Then I answered and said, how? And when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore our years, wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, do not thou hasten above the Most Highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him. For thou hast much exceeded. I just could not read today. What's going on? Verse 35. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Uriel, the archangel. Okay, so he is an archangel. So lucky. I knew I had read that before. That he was an archangel. And unto these things Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he hath weighed the world in the balance. So far, what we just read right there, right, is, basically what I had, for one, I had just said that there's a lot of things that have to come to pass, right? For one, for us to even understand, but also two, the fact that the wicked haven't had their time of judgment yet, right? And that is to come. You understand? And when that comes is when we, the Israelites, the people of Esdras, that Esdras is inquiring about, his people, that's when, like what the angel has said, where the evil will be flipped upside down. So basically the good will be upright and the evil will be beneath us, right? All of these things will happen in due time. Okay. Yeah. Where was I at? Verse 37. Verse 37. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So again, it's just like what Christ has said in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 18. And just paraphrasing it, verses 17 through 18, where he says, think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets, but I have come to fulfill. And then verse 18, where he goes in to say, for no jot nor tittle, for what it was, just paraphrasing it, but no jot nor tittle shall in no wise pass. Oh no, for the heavens and the earth will in no wise pass until every jot and tittle come to pass. Something along them lines. Actually, let me just pull it up. Make that a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not become to destroy, but to fulfill. Verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. You understand? So, earth as we know it, heaven as we know it, those things will not pass until everything that is written in the Bible comes to pass. You understand? And what that means with, earth passing and heaven passing, you got to think what heaven actually is today, because heaven and earth coexist simultaneously in one place, right? That judgment of hell, that judgment of heaven is seen under the sun. And that you can find that in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. Somewhere between verses 1 and 10. I can't remember where exactly, but that's in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, though. I know that for sure. Right? The judgment of, whether you have heaven or hell is all found under the sun. And what's underneath the sun? Earth. Right? So if earth is under the sun, where is heaven? That's the judgment. The judgment of heaven takes place underneath, underneath the sun. Same thing with hell, right? So how does that make sense? Well, how about you turn on your TV and look up a news segment that talks about, the great things that Jeff Bezos gets to do, right? That man, he living in his white man's heaven. You understand? That white man's heaven, the colonizer's heaven is here right now on earth. And quite frankly, if I may, I would rather be patient and wait for the nigga heaven to take over on earth. You understand? Because of course, the nigga heaven gonna last forever, right? For the rest of eternity. Once it begins, it's for the rest of the rest of time. All right. But mind you as well, like, look at the goofy shit that they do. Like, they really don't even do anything. They just sit there and stack up on money, and with all that money, the only thing that they do is just go. What did Jeff Bezos do? Just go up into the orbit of the Earth? I mean, sure, he's one of the few people who get to do it, but like, that's it? That's all you're gonna do? That's all you're doing? You understand? And then on top of that, just look at everybody else, though. With all that wealth that they get, man, they still can't hold on to a woman. They women don't even freaking respect them. You understand? Nobody even really wants to be like a colonizer. You understand? Everybody wants that place of power of a colonizer, to be able to not get discriminated against, so that they can, so you can provide for your family and get greater and better things, and not have to deal with them things like how the colonizer does. Getting accepted in school, getting a house loan, car loan, you know what I'm saying? Things, getting a job. Those things go against us because you mark on your piece of paper that you Black, Hispanic, or Native American. Because you mark that, you have a lesser chance of getting that loan, getting approved for whatever it is that you are applying for. You understand? And part of that is part of your hell as a Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. You understand? But of course, part of their heaven is they pretty much just, oh, you murdered 15 people? Well, I mean, I guess, I didn't see that. So, Timmy, you're approved. You understand? Versus with us, we so much is just late on one thing, and the whole world is against us. We are terrible, lazy, and just ignorant people because we late on one payment. You understand? or you understand, or just the simple fact that you turn on the TV and you see how blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are getting shot and killed on the streets by the police. How they're flooding drugs into our neighborhood to keep us on drugs, to keep us selling drugs to our own people. That's hell. You understand? For us to go and fight, for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to go fight a war for this country and get nothing out of it except for still being treated like the same nigger that we were before we put that uniform on. We're just a nigger with a uniform. You understand? What was that brother's name? That he was an officer. He was a commissioned officer. It wasn't too long ago where dude pulls into a gas station, and when because he was getting flagged down by the police, the police asked him, why did you take so long to pull over? Why did you pull into a gas station? He said, man, because he got his hands on the steering wheel because I'm scared. And mind you, he's in a military uniform and there's two white cops. And he said, because I'm scared and I wanted to be in a well-lit area so that there was no mistake. The fact that we have to think like that as a black, Hispanic, and Native American man, that is hell. And mind you as well, when he told the officer that he was scared right then, and I believe that officer had just came back from a deployment. I might be incorrect on that, but he might have just came back from a deployment or might have been pushing out for a deployment. One of the two, right? For him to get ready to go fight a war or just coming back from fighting a war and to get treated like that and tell the officer, I'm scared right now. You know what the officer says? Yeah, you should be. I thought your job as a police officer was to serve and protect. What are you protecting right now? You can't say you're protecting yourself. And if I remember correctly, the cop ended up pepper spraying him anyway while he's sitting in his car. While the brother was still sitting in his car. That's hell. That is hell. You understand? George Floyd, that's hell. Eric Garner, that's hell. Emmett Till, that's hell. Breonna Taylor, that's hell. You understand? But yet, why aren't there like big stories about, white on white justice or anything like that, when even though they're the greater population and have more numbers by percentile, obviously by flat numbers because they are the majority, but also by percentile numbers as well. There's more violence amongst them than there is with us or even black on white crime. You get what I'm saying? Their numbers outweighs all of it. But yet, why aren't they demonized and criminalized? Because they're in heaven. They look out for their own. Yeah, they understand that some of their own, they gotta lock up, they gotta put on the electric chair, whatever. But you don't really hear about that stuff. Right? And when you do, how and what light do you hear it? You understand? What's that one movie I was just watching with one of my ribs? That stupid show on Netflix, with that stalker white dude, whatever, had that crazy ass. I don't even have anxiety. That damn dude and his girl gave me anxiety, so lucky. But women really are on Facebook, especially when that show first came out. I remember with the first season, how females was really on Facebook and Twitter and all that, talking about how they wanted themselves I think his name is Joe. They wanted themselves a Joe. But it's like, okay, but you get a Joe in real life. He's a creeper. He's a stalker. You calling the police, this, that, and the other. And mind you, as well, he's a serial killer. And in that light, he gets put in he's shined in a good spotlight. Let that have been a black character. right? Mind you, as well, all the black characters in that show, the one black man that they had in that show was a homosexual. Then the sisters in that show, that the two sisters that they actually had in the show, only had white husbands, or was into white boys, only white boys. Like I said, there was only one brother in the show, and he was a straight up homosexual. They put him with a blind dude. That's like, I just think that's just crazy, because the only way that they can actually get a white man in that show to love a black man was to make him blind. Hey, man, hey, never mind. I ain't gonna go that far into it. Just the point is, right? Look at your Ted Bundy shows, the Zodiac Killer, all these serial killers. Yeah, they talk about how they were serial killers, and they go into their background. When they go into their background, it's oh, he was molested, and his father was abusive. He didn't have his mother, didn't have this, didn't have that. He just abused. But when it's a Black, Hispanic, or Native American man or woman, every chance they get, criminalize and demonize who we are. That is hell. You understand? So, like, I know I got a little sidetracked on that. Okay, there we are. But I pray that y'all understand what heaven and hell is, the difference between them, and also where they are. You understand? Because if I have to die to go to heaven, I get that. I'll fight for my place, right? But if I die, go to heaven, and it's a bunch of naked white babies flying around, and they call them angels, and there's a bunch of white people that ain't my slaves, I'll take a real hard pass on that, because I ain't trying to be in a place where these white people dwell and they free after all the atrocity that they've had, they've committed against my people. Nah, I'd rather be on the same place where my people sought out their judgment for their iniquities. I'd rather stay in that same physical plane, that same doggone rock, and be there to see them. So I don't even have to be the one whipping them. I don't even have to be the one, barking out their orders. I just want to be able to know that they paid their dues for what they did to my people. That would be heaven for me. Just to start off, make them rebuild, our country like we had to build theirs. You understand? Just to start off. That's just the start off of heaven for me. So like it. All right. So like it. Got a little sidetracked. So like verse 38. Then answered I and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, even we all are full of empathy. Verse 39. And for our sakes, peradventure it is that the floors of the righteous are not filled, because of the sins of them that dwell upon the earth. So he answered me and said, Go thy way to a woman with child, and ask of her when she hath fulfilled her 9 months, if her womb may keep the birth any longer within her. Then said I, No, Lord, that can she not. And he said unto me, In the grave the chambers of souls are like the womb of a woman. For like as a woman that travaileth maketh haste to escape the necessity of the travail, even so do these places haste to deliver those things that are committed unto them. Verse 43, from the beginning, look from the beginning, look what thou desirest to see, it shall be showed thee. Then answered I and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, and if it be possible, And if I be meat, therefore, show me then whether there like it. Show me then whether there be more to come than is past, or more past than is to come. 46. What is past I know, but what is for to come I know not. You know, basically what he just asked, like, man, how show me how much more we got though, right? And then mind you as well, show me what is to come, because I don't know what's to come, and I would like to know. Verse 47. And he said unto me, stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto thee. So I stood and saw, and behold, an hot burning oven passed by before me, and it happened. And when the flame was gone by, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. After this, there passed by before me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm. And when the stormy rain was past, the drops remained still. Then said he unto me, consider with thyself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke. But the drops and the smoke remain behind. So the quantity which is past did more exceed. Then I prayed and said, may I live? Thinkest thou until that time? Or what shall happen in those days? He answered me and said, as for the tokens whereof thou asked me, I may tell thee of them in part, but as touching thy life, I am not sent to show thee, for I do not know it. Understand? Uriel just basically said, man, I don't, as far as your life, I don't know. But as a whole, I know what is to come as a whole. You understand? And that's what he just described, right? Let's reread that part, what he had just described. And so I stood and saw, and behold, an hot burning oven passed by before me, and it happened. And when the flame was gone by, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. After this, there passed by before me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm. And when the stormy rain was past, the drops remained still. Then said he unto me, consider with thyself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke, but the drops and the smoke remain behind, so the quantity which is past did more exceed. You know what's lucky? I'm actually gonna ask for a breakdown of that my doggone self. I was supposed to get a breakdown on that one. I forgot. But I'll sure get that one tomorrow. Oh, you know what? Yeah, put that one up in there. What time is it? 8:34. All right. You know what? I think we can read some of the next chapter. Yeah, we'll read the next chapter. Give me 1 second to write that one down in my notes real quick. Okay. All right. So we've got about another 20, 30 minutes. So we're going to read the next chapter, chapter 5. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 1. Nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. And that's talking about that time period before, because right now we're all starting to wake up. We're all starting to wake up in the truth. The proof of that is the ISUPK. The fact that ISUPK is, we're all over, we're in Canada, we're in Mexico, South America. We basically have the Western Hemisphere, right? We're in Europe, in the UK. Did somebody say something about setting up in China or somewhere in Africa? I just know we're in the UK as far as, on the other side of the Great Pond. You understand? The point is we're all over. And obviously, we all over the United States. You understand? We're all over the islands. You know what I'm saying? Puerto Rico, Jamaica, all that. Primarily where we at is where our people are primarily at, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand that, which includes the Jamaicans, the Haitians, you understand, the Dominicans, you understand, the Puerto Ricans. But yeah, so it says, nevertheless, it's concerning the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Verse 2, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. In the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. Verse 4, but if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day, and blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And I said, this is basically going into, basically the Third World War. You understand? Verse 6, and even he shall rule whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth, and the fowls shall take their flight away together, and the Sodomitish sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. Man, again, like this is basically, it's basically, he's going over the end of times. You understand? Because look at our seas today, because of all the test bombing, the pollution. You understand? All the list is damn near endless. Why the fish are just by the multitudes just dying. Overfishing, pollution, the whole shebang. The ecosystem is getting just destroyed. Right? Verse 8, there shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And there shall be a confusion also in many places. And that confusion is just like everybody's at odds with each other, but it's like, bro, we the same people. And in the same, you understand what I'm saying? And then the people who ain't the same as the others, they gonna be trying to align with them. You understand what I'm saying? That's confusion in itself, right? And the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places. Man, y'all hear about these doggone what do they call it? The polar bears? You understand? They're having to move from the doggone from the North Pole back into into the whatchamacallit, into the wood lines. They're having to rechange how they hunt, and then also, of course, go into the wood lines because they got to eat, but all that ice is getting melted up. So they moving, out of where they normally where they normally dwell, right? And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Man, that's so doggone heavy. Because man, like, why do you think that these women are bringing forth menstruous monsters? These menstruous women. Why do you think our sisters are bringing forth monstrous children? Man, let's just start with the fact that the woman don't need a man. You understand? Because she don't need a man, and also doesn't want a black man at that, and thinks she doesn't need a black, Hispanic, and Native American man, and don't need a man at all at that. Man, the children are growing up without fathers because of it. And that without the fathers, man, it destroys the child. And a lot of times, I mean, hell, for those of y'all that grew up in terrible neighborhoods or whatnot, where ain't nobody, a lot of y'all didn't know who your father was, or it was a guesstimate who your father could be. You understand? A lot of them children in their neighborhood, monsters. You understand? Daughters ended up being whores. Doggone the sons, just drug dealers and murderers. You understand what I'm saying? All that essentially starts with that wicked woman being wicked towards her husband and keeping him from his child. You understand? Because mind you as well, the child sees that. And now the child doesn't, he don't respect rank and order because he ain't even got his father to see and experience that. You understand? Verse 9. And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber. Verse 10. And shall be sought of many and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency. So lacking from, man, I need to get back on my hooked on phonics. I'm having a hard time reading today, so lacking, just bear with me. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon earth. One land also shall ask another and say, is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, no. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their way shall not prosper. To show thee such tokens, I have leave. And if thou wilt pray again and weep as now and fast 7 days, thou shalt hear yet greater things. So the angel is the archangel Uriel is leaving Esdras with that vision, right? That vision and that we'll just go with that. With that vision for him to see, to answer his questions and whatnot, right? And when a lot of that, what he just saw was the end of times. Nations coming against nation. Hell, even friends against friends. I mean, what do you think is going on today in America with the Democrats and the Republicans, right? They at each other's necks, and they the same people coming up against each other. You understand? It's the same thing in China. It's the same thing going on in Africa. You understand? Same thing that's been going on in Russia. You understand? It's been going on all over. And then, mind you, as well, the friends, whatchamacallit, the Europeans, what was that called not too long ago? Like the Brexit or whatever. And the Europeans are at odds with each other as well. The Europeans are at odds with Americans, even though they the same. And when I say Europeans and when I say Americans, I mean the colonizers. I mean, our oppressors. I'm American born, but I wouldn't call myself American. You understand? A Black, Hispanic, and Native American, I would not call them American. Even though they American born for however many doggone generations. You understand? I let that be reserved for the people who came up with the stupid name in the first place to be called an American. Because quite frankly, I'm not proud to be called an American, and nor should you. You understand? This is a nation built on lies, deceit, blood, murder, theft, pillaging, rape, all sorts of just terrible, the most terrible acts in warfare. That's how this country was built. You understand? That is the foundation of this country. You understand? They, Americans like to try to say how, this is, this country was won and God given and whatnot. Man, first of all, if God gave it to you, you wouldn't have had to lie. You wouldn't have had to lie a single lie to the Native Americans. Just think about that. There was over what did I research? I believe there was over 800 treaties that the colonizers came up with and signed with the Native Americans, and the colonizers broke every single one and counting. And still counting. They're still breaking the treaties today. So if this is God given and God isn't a liar, God is not the author of confusion, how in the hell is this a God given freedom? Or not freedom, but a God given country? You understand? It was stolen, right? By wicked men, right? But anyway, moving on. But yeah, so this is basically, Uriel was basically just telling Esdras about the end of times, right? She just told him fast 7 days. Okay, verse 14. Then I awakened, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. Verse 15. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me up upon my feet. Verse 16, and in the second night it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been? Why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Up then, and eat bread, and forsake us not, as the shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. Then said I unto him, Go thy ways from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said and went from me. So, mind you, this right here shows you that they had rank and order back then, just like how we got rank and order today, right? And then not only that, just like today, where like one way to look at Esdras for this time that we're reading right now, in second Esdras is basically just like Commander General Yohanan. You understand? Where hell, somebody tries to press Commander General Yohanan, hey man, we're like, where you at? Like we waiting for you. We're in our because today we in captivity, just like what we just read in what we had just read, that the people in captivity right now, like we looking for you. Don't forget us, man. Eat, drink, do what you got to do, but we need you, sir. You understand? But Commander John Yohanan, or if he's so saw fit, like, man, hey, depart from me. Like, don't come near me for a good bit. Because mind you, he also had good reason. Because the angel just told Esdras that he needs to fast, do what he just did, week fast for 7 days, and more will be given to Esdras for him to see and understand. And so that's what Esdras is pursuing, right? Because Esdras is able to understand, mind you, as well. Now we have these records because Esdras did what he had to do out of the sake of brotherhood. He asked these questions out of the sake of brotherhood. You understand? He's asking these questions, seeking these answers because he loves his people. You understand? Because these words, first and foremost, the whole Bible is about, it's an instruction manual. It is our history. It is our culture. It's our, way of life of, how we should deal with one another and how we should deal with the other nations. But also in the midst of all of that is hope. The Bible has hope all throughout it, all throughout it. Because, no matter how bad you think your life is, whatever you going through, you think it's so bad, you open up the Bible, you come to find out, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, that, you have it the worst out of everybody else on the face of this earth. We always have. But there's somebody else in the Bible that got through it that you able to read about and gain hope and strength through reading their story and then seeing that they got through it by doing these things, seeking counsel, keeping his faith in the Most High God, overcoming the trials and tribulations that comes his way as he goes through the furnace of adversity. You understand what I'm saying? Leaning on his brothers, but of course, counsel, because brotherhood, counsel is brotherhood, right? You'll come to realize that, you know what? You can get through it too. You can endure because you'll learn that you have brotherhood through these scriptures. And of course, you'll be able to take the scriptures and say, and come to realize, just like how we, those that are already in the ISUPK, that kind of brotherhood, that kind of love, this is where it dwells. You understand? All right, we're gonna read on. Israel's committed unto thee in the land of their captivity. It went from verse 20. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like as Uriel the angel commanded me. And after 7 days, so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again. And my soul recovered the spirit of understanding. And I began to talk with the Most High again, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit. And of all the flowers thereof, one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. And of all the builded cities, thou hast hallowed Sion unto thyself. And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove. And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. Verse 27, and among all the multitudes of peoples, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. You understand? I pray that y'all understand what we just read. And if you don't, I'll just put it real simple for you. Ezra just went over all the things that the Most High God has a favorite of. Favorite river, a favorite tree, cattle, which is the sheep. You understand? That's also why he refers to us as sheep. He's got a favorite flower, a favorite people. You understand? Just like how you have your favorite animal. Like me, like my favorite animal, I love the killer whale. The orca, even though, like the killer whale, he's like an asshole. But he cool as hell. And they intelligent is all, man, them things is cool. My favorite freaking animal. Killer whale. What? The Most High God's not allowed to have a favorite anything? You understand what I'm saying? He's not allowed to have a favorite people. I got a favorite people. My blacks, Hispanics, and it's Israelites. You understand? The people of flavor, the people of culture, the real people of culture. You understand? With a moral compass that they have to reference to. You understand? The people in the ISUPK are my favorite people on the face of the earth, hands down. You understand? Because there's nothing but flavor and hell, and brotherhood and sisterhood. Like, it's just, you ain't gonna find that nowhere else. Because you know what? You know what the brotherhood and the sisterhood is for the Muslims? To really prove your faith, not only to your God, but also to your people. Strap a bomb on your chest. Strap a bomb on your chest for the sake of that stone that you worship. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah. Anyway, you know what? I need to quit getting sidetracked. We got 10 more minutes. Actually, I don't even think we're gonna get through the rest of this. So where was I at? Verse. My soul recovered the spirit of understanding. I began to talk with the Most High again and said, trees thereof. Oh, yeah. You know what? Verse 28, I think that's a good place to stop at. We'll pick up again next Tuesday and read the rest of chapter 5 next Tuesday. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Because we ain't gonna be able to read through the rest of the chapter before time, so we'll just clip it now. Yeah. So again, this is the ISUPK, started out on 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander Jerry Yohana, where we teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that they are the greatest people on the face of the earth. You understand? And with that, Shalom Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatham. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Elatah Hashem Yahushai. With that, class dismissed.